Human behavior, first session. Today we are going to study about the process of cognition. We have been studying about cognition before. Cognition is the process of logical thinking and decision making based on assessing the rationales, assessing the possible solutions, and that those solutions are reached at by first of all evaluating the various reasons why a problem could have occurred. So we would first evaluate the reasons why the problem has in fact occurred. And after having this found, then the best solutions for those problems, for that certain problem, are actually sought out. And from the best, those various solutions, the best solution is actually opted. So this is the process of cognition. This is a process of intellectual decision making. One decision maker would just randomly take any decision for a problem in a haste, in a process of rush. Such decision making can always create havoc, can always create problems because the decisions might not be very appropriate. But when the decisions are taken after having properly evaluated the reason why the occurrence of problem has taken place, then it would be more appropriate. Then it will be the decision maker will be in more better position to take decision for any available situation at hand. So in today's topic, the first thing which we have in the form of heading is actually studying cognition. So as we have discussed that cognition is a process of logical decision making. This is the one liner which encompasses, which covers every uh, aspect of this process of cognition. Cognition process is actually a process in which we will start with the problem and we will reach at the solution. So all the things which start from occurrence of problem to reaching at appropriate solution are covered, are encompassed in this process of cognition. Studying cognition process refers to mental action or process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thought, experience, and senses. So when we say mental action or process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thought, experience, and senses, what we mean is that whenever there is any new problem of any new sort taken place, which is unprecedented, there wasn't any problem of that sort taken ever took place before. So what we will do is we will use the existing faculty of knowledge, and based on that existing faculty of knowledge, we will try to evaluate the problem. But there are going to be chances when the existing faculty of knowledge will not be completely making you understand, or making the process, making the person who is about to take decision, uh, making him understand the reasons why such problems have taken place, or any such problem has taken place. So he will or she will acquire new knowledge. So based on the existing knowledge, there is going to be an evaluation of problem. So once we figure out that based on the existing knowledge we are not being able to interpret exactly the reason of the occurrence, now we will try to explore more, we will try to dig more, and while in the process of exploring more, we are going to acquire new knowledge. So, as the definition says, the mental action or process of acquiring knowledge. So, here we had existing knowledge. Based on the existing knowledge, we evaluated the problem. And when we figure out that based on the existing knowledge, we are not able to solve the problem, then we are going to acquire further knowledge. That further acquiring of knowledge is going to be regarding the problem first, because you will not be able to reach at the proper solution or conclusion until unless the problem is not properly understood. So it is very important first to understand the problem, because many times people, when they try to take decision in haste, many times that becomes failure. The reason is that the problem was not very understood very properly. So in order to take proper decision, the first and foremost important thing is to understand the problem first, because the good decision maker, whoever is the good decision maker, he will initially find the true cause of problem. You see, if the true cause is not understood, then there is absolutely not going to be the any solution in haste. For example, you have itching on skin, and you start applying a certain paste on your skin, and you hope that with the application of the paste the itching is going to get end. But what you realize is that when you apply that paste on the skin, after for a small period of time that itching stops, but after having that small time period passed away, the itching again gets to start. So that is a certain situation of unrest, because you will assume that I've already taken the decision and I have already applied the paste, but the problem is not going away. So the reason is that you have not exactly understood the reason of that itching first. You thought that there is some problem with your skin, and based on that, you have taken a decision and you brought in a paste and you have applied that paste on the skin. But as that paste was not, I mean, soluting the problem, so you went to the doctor and doctor told you that the itching process is not taking place because of problem in skin, rather it is because of problem in blood. So here the solution, more appropriate solution, was to fix the issue which is there in blood, which is making the problem itching appear again and again. So this is the best example to exactly understood exactly understand the process of decision making. So until unless the true cause of any problem is not understood first, there is absolutely not going to be a proper decision making. Therefore, it is important before the when we start the process of cognition. The cognition is a process of intellect. If, I mean, if anybody is taking this cognition into use, then that person is making the intellect, bringing the intellect into use. So studying cognition, cognition is actually the process of thoroughly examining the true reasons why any issue has occurred. So by doing that, we will be in better position to come up with the solution of any issue. So cognitive process using existing knowledge and generate new knowledge. That simply means that, I mean, as we discussed, that based on existing knowledge, we will try to evaluate the problem. And once based on the existing knowledge, we fail to understand that why the problem was taking place. Now we understand that there is some new knowledge required, because we are not being able to understand why the thing has taken place which has taken place. So that is the process of understanding the issues first. The cognition process, the process of cognition, is initially a process in which the problem solver, the decision maker, is going to understand the problem first, because till the time problem is not understood properly, till that time there is absolutely no way will you be able to solve any issue or solve any problem. So this way it is absolutely important to think out of the box, and just don't restrict yourself to the existing awareness regarding any issue. If you fail to analyze any issue based on what we have already studied, then be courageous and don't feel any shame in getting out of the box and in trying to ascertain the true reason why any issue could have taken place. So this is the process of studying cognition. Cognition is a, like we have said, this is not the process of abnormal thinkers. It is the process of supernormal thinkers. The supernormal thinker, they will always be worried that whatever they decide should be the best thing which they have decided. Because a normal thinker would not be much worried regarding the decision that person is taking, because he would or she would be fine. They will rather play the guess games, and they would just do the hits and misses. They'll take different action. They will do. I mean, they will uh, without analyzing or evaluating the true reasons of problem. They'll continue taking decisions until they reach at a time where actual the problem gets actually solved. But they would not be bothered that you see what was the reason why a problem got solved because of that certain action which they took on 11th attempt. So this is what an average decision maker is going to do. But a normal and supernormal user is always going to be more bothered for properly examining the overall circumstances, and then after properly examining, having the circumstances properly examined, then taking the moves, and then you know coming up at a situation where you are in perfect position to aim for the true solution of any issue. So language use is of very much importance, because if somebody is trying to tell you an issue, somebody is trying to tell you a problem, and you are there as a consultant to solve anybody's issue, anybody's problem, and that person is actually talking to you in a language which is not interpretable, then you will not be able to solve the problem. So it is very important that the decision maker is well versed with the language of the problem, because if the problem has taken place and you are totally unaware of the language, then you will not be able to solve the problem. For example, doctors, they study biology. So in biology, they have got their own terms, which they are, I mean, which has their own meaning. So no matter you if you know English or not, but biology has its own English. Various body organs have got their own biological English. So it is very important that you understand the language. So maybe you're sitting in a brainstorming session where there is some biological issue being discussed, and you're not a doctor, but you are a good decision maker. So people might call you up for to take important decisions. So for such situations, what you will only do is that you are going to rather uh, and you would first need to understand the reason why that problem is has actually taken place. So that is an important factor. That is very important process which one has to go through, the understanding of language. So language is required to be understood very, very properly. So like in biology, likewise, if you are talking about space sciences or any other language, so it is important for the decision maker to properly understand the language first, so that the process of proper decision making could be reached at. So, language plays an important role in cognitive psychology, providing a man with the knowledge of the world and fixing this knowledge in words. So, with this, what you get to know is that the problem which has taken place. So, I mean, if you are not familiar with the language, then you will not be able to understand. You will not be able to understand the problem, because somebody is trying to tell you the problem, but that person is trying to tell you the problem in Russian language, and you are not well versed with the Russian language. So no matter how good decision maker you are, until unless you will not be able to understand exactly what the issue is, you will not be able to take or reach the problem to the level of conclusion. So that's the issue. So now we have understood that language plays very important role, because many times if the problem, one issue is that you totally do not understand the language. The second problem which in the process of cognition which can take place is there is somebody who is using a bilingual message. I mean, somebody is trying to communicate message, but that person is not properly using the right words. So that person might be using your own language, but he might be using the bilingual messages, in which there are like multiple meanings of a word, certain word, which can be interpreted by the listener. Therefore, it is important that particularly the person who is trying to communicate the problem, that person is communicating the issue, communicating you the issue in the right most and appropriate most language. You first of all need to understand the language. Second, the that understanding of knowledge language is not should not be partly. That should be 100%, because you cannot uh, just give a you simply cannot just reach at a situation. You simply cannot sort of live on this concept that, okay, if I partly understand the language, then I can solve the problem, because you might miss some important aspects. So if you do not understand the language of the problem properly, so it is appropriate that 60% language understanding, 70% language understanding is not there. Rather, 100% language understanding is there for appropriately reaching at the conclusion of the problem. So this way, you will be able to understand the language properly, and afterwards, even after maybe you are understanding, you have understood this language properly, but once you are trying to suggest a solution, if you are only able to interpret the language but you cannot converse back in the same language properly, so that is also going to be an issue. You have understood, somehow you have managed to understood the problem. Now if somebody, you were there as a consultant for somebody, and now you're trying to solve a problem, and you are trying to, you have conceived a good solution for your problem, for that prevailing problem as well. Now you're trying to communicate that problem, communicate that solution which we have figured out. But if that problem is understood properly, that solution is has been found properly, but if you're not able to converse that solution, then there is no use of taking that decision. So if you're there as consultant, so that two-way process, two-way language process is actually important. You should not only be able to understand the language of the speaker, but also should be able, I mean, you should be able to communicate back, converse back accordingly, so that the interpret, the first thing which we interpret is the thing which we can see. So when we talk about visuals, so whatever you can see in your surrounding is something which you can see, is something to do with the visual science. So when we talk about the cognition process, so looking at the words of a book, for example, you're reading a story book, and in that book there is some story being told to you, and you are reading that story, and you, while reading that story and while looking at the words of the book, being able to make sense of that plot, is visual perception is at work. I mean, when you are reading that storybook and when there is complete plot of a situation being communicated or being talked about, you're not only reading that book, but you're also creating all the plot inside your mind as well. You see, there is a complete video being played on your, on your imagination, inside your imagination. You are reading the book, you are reading the sequential flow of that story which you're reading, and all that is being played on your, in your imagination, just like a movie. So this is actually visual cognition process. This is actually the visual cognition at work. Looking at the words of a book and being able to make sense of the plot is visual perception at work. Visual perception could be defined as the ability to interpret the information that our eyes receive. So in this example, we have this shared this example that that you were reading a book, and in that book there was a story being told. There was a story being, you were there was a story which you were reading. So while you were reading that story, you were able to play the video of that story inside your mind. So this was the visual cognition at work. So another example of visual cognition can be uh, when you are a detective maybe, and there was a crime scene, and you go to the crime scene, and you just are taken to the crime scene to for some assessments regarding a possible reason why the crime was occurred, or regarding some investigative support somebody asks you to do, and people know that you are good at observation, so they might take you to the plot, they might take you to the scene where the crime was actually conducted. So you would observe the things out. So based on the various things which are there in the scene, you are going to enter, your mind is going to interpret a situation, your mind is going to create visuals inside your mind. You There is an accident which has taken place, and that accident, you go to that, I mean, that scene, to actually witness that accident, and now you're what you're watching is a scene which is a scene which, I mean, after accident there was certain thing which was there in and on the crime scene, on at the accident scene. So now looking at that thing, your mind will start playing certain videos inside the brain. So that is visual cognition at work. You start possibly thinking that why that accident has taken place. For example, there was a car coming from one end, there was another car coming from the second end, and there was a collision of between cars taken place, and because of it, the driver of the car got died. So now what you're going to evaluate is that, you see, now you're going to see that the where from where that car possibly have gotten the hit from the other car. I mean, the reason of, because of that reason, the driver got lost his life. So you will start making assessments, because you'll see that, you'll observe that there was the hit from the driving seat side, and that hit was not evident on only on the driving seat gate, but rather that hit was found from the back door of the car, and that was reaching till the front door. So now you'll try to make an assessment that the hit, but I mean that hit of the other car was not directly on the driving gate. Rather, rather because of that hit, there was a slide in the car, and because of that, slide in the car, the two doors actually got hit, the driving seat gate and the back door. And but you see that you realize that even the back door was badly damaged, but only the front door side, driver sitting on the car within the car, got died. So because of that, you can actually make an assessment there that there was probably nobody sitting on the back seat of the car, and there was on the front seat there was driver sitting, because of which the driver actually lost his life. So this is all visual cognition at place, is actually in action. So the visual cognition, what we have understood from this is that whenever somebody is telling you any problem and somebody is trying to ask you for a solution, so when that somebody is trying to tell you the problem, you're not only listening to it, but you also start playing that problem inside your mind. So that playing of problem inside your mind is actually visual cognition at work. So this is, like we said, that this is the process of cognition, and in cognition process, the decisions are taken based on a complete analysis of the issue. So here, the study of cognition, in that we studied that, you see, the intelligent decisions are actually taken in that. So in language use, we started that, you see, the proper language is actually important for you to understand the problem first before reaching at the conclusion. And now visual cognition is that based on your observations, you try to solve a problem. And if you are able to solve the problem properly, only then you will be able to uh, be a good decision maker. Otherwise, there is absolute no way you will be able to uh, be a good consultant. So, you as a consultant, it is your job, it is your duty to solve the problem. So, visual cognition is the process of understanding the issues and through the visuals inside your mind. So here, if the language is not proper, if the language is not being told proper, then your visual cognition might also cannot get in action. If the language is something which is dubious, then the mind will not be able to play the good videos. Good videos, a good picture will not be brought inside your mind by your brain. So there is going to be problem in visual cognition. So here we understand from this example that when we are using the process of cognition, it is important that we not only understand the language properly, but also alongside with understanding of language, the proper interpretation is also being done. And if due to certain reason we are unable to understand and assess the problem, the occurrence of problem, we further dig into problem, we further probe into problem, we further chase the problem, we further try to find out the possible reasons of the occurrence of that problem. And that digging further into the possible reasons increases our knowledge. So this is all what is this is all something which is done in the process of cognition. So visual cognition is actually the process of playing all the issues which are being told inside your mind. And now, after having understood all the problems, in the second phase, what we'll do is you will try to solve the problem out. So, like in one part, you were able to, play the videos of the problem. Likewise, in the second part, you're going to play all those videos inside your mind, and that way you will be able to solve the problem. You see, and this is visual cognition again at play. You see, in the first part, the video was being played on the based on the story which was being told, and in the second part, the videos are being played, videos being played based on the solution which your mind is trying to conceive for that problem at hand. So this way, the process of cognition works. The process of cognition is the process of experimenting. This is the process of doing research. It is the process of reading further and further. It is the process of making sure that all the, the various possible studies which could have been done to reach at the to understand the problem are properly done. You will not suffice the reading based on your few sources of reading only. You would rather do more research. You would rather study more and more. You would rather study further. You would rather try to dig out further to in order to just reach at the proper solution for any problem at hand. So this is an important part in the process of cognition. So in the next phase after visual cognition, the thing which comes into play is basically problem solving and reasoning. So as we understood from this definition of cognition that this process, cognition process, is the process of logical decision making. So when we say problem solving and reasoning, so the heading itself is suggesting that problem solving is something to do with uh, reaching at some possible solution for a problem, and reasoning is trying to explore the various reasons why anything might could have taken place. For example, you come across while working for organization, you get to see that the one employee who was very, very energetic, who was very, uh, very sufficiently backed up, sufficiently backed by the right qualification for a job. But you get to know that the employee was not able to solve the problems of the department where he was working. You will be amazed that academically, the academic records tell you that the employee you have hired is actually the most right employee, which could have been hired for that exam for that particular post. But when it comes to solving the problem, you find out that the employee was not being able to solve the problem very properly. So instead of just firing the employee right away, if you're a good organization, you would rather like to find out the reasons why such thing is actually taking place. You would rather like to find out the possible reason why that employee who was academically so well, but that employee is not being able to perform well. So this is a problem in which this is a situation in which you will be very worried that you see why an intelligent employee is not being able to decide upon a solution, decide for certain solutions when he is kept very rightly backed up by the right knowledge. So then you will apply various reasons why that could have been taking place. You will try to find out there could be certain but there might could be some problem with the employee is not understanding the problem properly while sitting in the department. The other employees are not being cooperative. He's probably trying to discuss something from the colleagues, and those colleagues are not guiding him rightly properly for that problem. So that could be one reason why this such thing is taking place. Second is that the employee is so stressed that because of that stress he is not able to understand or come up with the right solution for the problem, despite being rightly backed up by the problem. So the third possible reason could be problem at home. So the employee might have some bad thing going on at home, so that would be the forcing the employee to not focus on the issue very properly, because there is something at home which is taking place which is making the employee lose his focus, and eventually not being able to solve the problem rightly. So what you're doing right now is you are trying to solve the problem, but are trying to find out the reasons. You go to the employee, now you're trying to talk to that employee, and that employee is actually not talking to you properly. You're very worried that you see why the employee is not talking to you properly, but because I mean, but despite having all the good background, which which possible in the world, any employee for that particular post can, could have had. So in this problem, in this there, so this way, you are trying to solve a problem and with reasoning. In fact, you see, you are trying to find the reasons first, and then you are trying to reach at the proper solution. Process of evaluating different situations, their possible causes, and then finding the best solution for the problem is the process of problem solving and reasoning. In this process of problem solving and reasoning, problem solving is the ultimate purpose which you want to achieve, and reasoning is the way, is the roadmap. You actually do it. You are trying to find out the right road to reach at a destination, because there might be a lot of roads which are there. You're trying to reach a certain destination, there are a lot of roads there. So you might start your journey at one road, but if that road is not proper, then you might end up getting lost somewhere where you do not want to reach. So you'll start asking from people that, will this road take you to the destination where you want to go? So ultimately, from having those various roads in front of you, you're going to pick the best road or the right road which will take you to your ultimate destination. So this way, if you have taken the right road, you're going to reach to your destination point in the right, in the right time, within the right time allotted to you. So this way, in the same fashion here, while solving the problem, like you had different roads for reaching at your destination, but only one road was taking you to your destination. The same way, in problem solving and reasoning, there you will try to find out various reasons why the problem has taken place. And now you're trying to, while trying to find out this in the while trying to find out this the problem, you will come up, you'll find different reasons which were there for the occurrence of that problem. So problem solving and reasoning is just trying to explore more and more for the uh, for the plausible reasons why anything would have occurred. So from the problem solving and from the problem solving and reasoning, this is the first step in the this is a step when you're trying to solve a problem. If you just go through this process in the logical step by sequence, then the first thing which you studied was language use, then the visual cognition, then the problem solving and reasoning. And so in language use, you were understanding a problem. In visual cognition, based on that language, you started interpreting and you started soluting that problem in your mind. So that was visual cognition. And after that, problem solving, the actual process of problem solving and reasoning is now taking place. Now you have started taking actions based on the problem which you have understood. Now you will practically start taking actions to reach at any conclusion. So the next part which comes into the way is actually judging and deciding. So in this part, what you do is you, after having figured out the problem properly, based on that, based on those various reasons, you start judging. Okay, those judgments are actually based on the rationales which you uh, reach at, based on the various surveys which you do, based on various experiments, or based on various research which you do to reach at the scene. So this part of judging and deciding is that you will, after, for example, having that problem was figured out, you have found out the five possible reasons which might could be the possibility of that occurrence of that issue. So you start taking one by one the various solutions at hand. So you start judging those solutions. You start with the option A, you take it as an ultimate decision, that you see, okay, now this is the ultimate decision. So after having that decision A taken, what you will do is you will not just reside there. You will start evaluating before the actual execution of that solution. You will do the pre-analysis after having that decision taken, which was decision A. Now you will do your own research that if I will take this decision, then because of this decision, so and so can take place. and then you'll figure out, okay, that my decision A might be will be able to solve the problem 65%, but remaining 35% will remain unaddressed. Same way you take decision B, and after having you're judging decision B as the right decision, yeah, you start evaluating that decision B as well. You figure out that, okay, if I take decision B, then 85% of the problem will get solved, but still that 15 part will be missing. So likewise, you pick and choose. In fact, you start picking the most appropriate solutions. You had five solutions for that problem in front of you. So now you again, since this is a process of cognitive decision making, so after having those five processes in front of you, you are not going to just do the random pick. You will again do these studies. You will go through this process of judging and deciding. You will pick one solution one by one, each solution one by one, and then you will evaluate that solution, that what possible outcome that solution can actually bring. So after having all the things evaluated, then what you will reach at is going to be an appropriate decision for the problem which you were trying to evaluate and solve. So this way, this process of the cognition is moving further and advancing towards, towards reaching at the problem. So all during this while, there's one thing which is taking place, which is of acquiring new knowledge. Because all while doing this, you are gaining knowledge. Because when you're trying to solve the problems, the solution of which was not in your mind earlier, now this all process of research is making you do the research and making you learn the new things. So this is good, but this is a blessing in disguise. There's a problem in front of you. So why I'm calling it blessing in disguise is that, you see, though there is a disguise of problem, but that disguise, but the blessing in that disguise is that because of that, you're basically learning new things. So this way, there was a disguise in shape of problem, but that was not a problem. That was not a disguise in true sense, in altogether context. That was not a collateral damage. I mean, the basic advantageous thing in that situation was that you were learning new things, this is the benefit in the occurrence of a problem. This is all in your mind. That's all how you look at things. If you look at things in disastrous manner, you keep an eye of negativity on your mind, and you'll start evaluating all that from the lens of negativity, then you will not find any solution for the problem at hand. And even the smallest of the problem is going to appear like a monster. But you will try to solve when you will try to solve a problem with confidence and belief, even a big monster is going to look like a small penny. So that's the thing. It's all about the way you look at things. It's all about your attitude and how you would like to make use of the intelligence which you already have regarding the issues at hand. So, after having all these steps taken, the language was used for the interpretation of problems, and visual cognition was were doing the observations and playing these things in your mind, then problem solving and reasoning. Then, in this process, you were coming up with different reasons why the problem might could have taken place, and then you narrowed down the various reasons, and you picked the best five reasons, the which can be the possible uh, then which can be the possible solution for the problem. So you start judging and deciding. You start picking those five solutions one by one and start doing the evaluations. And in that evaluation, you will observe, you will evaluate that, you see what is the maximum percentage those five solutions if picked are going to solve the problem. So you figure out that out of the five reasons which you have picked, there is one best option which is for solving the problem 100%, while remaining points are responding to problem, attending a problem, but not solving a problem in 100% manner. So in this way, judging and deciding, you reach at the most appropriate solution for a problem. So, in this last part of this topic is we are going to discuss intelligence assessment. And if now, once from the start of the problem till judging and deciding and reaching at the problem, for example, all of you students of this batch, students of this class were facing a problem, and now you are trying to reach at the best solution. For example, the exams, when you do the exams, so there is always going to be one student who secures the first prize, then there comes the second best student, then comes the third best, and so on and so forth. So there is a student who remains first, then second, then third. So this intelligence assessment is actually telling that, you see, based on the, if you just take this exam as an example for problem solving, so that exam was issue at hand. So there were like different brains who were attempting that exam. So different brains were trying to attempt that exam and were trying to solve that problem. So out of those various students of the class, somebody is going to make the best attempt for the paper and will do the best in the exam. So that somebody is going to secure first prize in the exam. Accordingly, the second best and the third best, and fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh and last in the last student. So intelligence assessment is when there are a lot of people who have solved the similar. I mean, there are like more than one persons who have solved the similar problem. So you are going to find out the best way that problem was solved. They were like 15 people who were trying to solve the same problem. Everybody was having same circumstance. Everybody was having same issue with the same providence of knowledge. Now the person who is going to come up with the best possible solution will be considered as the most intelligent student of the class. So this is what we do in this process of intelligence assessment, that we figure out the various reasons of various solutions of the various individuals, and the best solution is picked, and based on that we again pass the judgment. Okay, based on that solution of problem, based on the decision which somebody has taken, you set the level of their intelligence inside your mind. Okay, that the most intelligent person is Mr. A, the second most intelligent person is Mr. B, and the third most intelligent person is somebody who is falling at C. So this is the process of intelligent assessment. So with this we have reached at the conclusion of today's topic. And today we have studied process of cognition, and we have understood the process, the use of language in that. We have studied the visual cognition in that. We have we have discussed about problem solving and reasoning, that how that plays role in the cognition process. Then we talked about judging and deciding, that how judging and deciding plays its part in the cognition process. And then in the last we studied intelligence assessment, that whoever picks the best solution gets out to be nominated as the best intelligent person in the whole class, or gets to be nominated as the most intelligent person who has solved that particular problem at hand. So I hope this lecture was interesting and everybody has learned thoroughly, very, very properly. And if you have not understood the things properly, you can always replay this lecture. And I hope with the simple examples we have discussed today, you will be able to understand this topic very, very properly. So let's conclude today's talk, and we will meet in the next lecture.